What's up, guys? Nate and Sutton back with another video, and today we are doing
What day is today?
Today is Q&A
About
singleness.
singleness is what you guys chose. If y'all are not following us on Instagram, you can find us at Nate and Sutton, and on there we ask you guys sometimes questions of like, what do you want to have a Q&A about, and if you want to be in on choosing what we talk about, find us on Instagram.
Yep. And today we are talking about singleness. You guys are asking us some questions on how to cope with the horrific life of being single. No, I'm just kidding. Single life can sometimes be better than the coupled life, depending on how you handle it.
If you guys aren't following us on Instagram, follow us at Nate and Sutton because we have something exciting coming up, and we are going to be sharing it on Instagram before we put it on YouTube. So if you want to know what it is and you want to be the first to know, find us there.
Yes. Question number 1, hit me.
Question number 1, this is a good one for you. Is it okay to date more than one person at a time before making it official as a couple?
That's a good one for me because I tried to pull that game.
On me. Of
Yeah.
all the people that he dated, he chose me to do that with.
I know, looking back, I would be like, to me, it's just like an obvious no, that I don't think it's okay. I just feel like it's not really honoring to either one of the people that you're dating. But back then in my dating game, I felt a little more desperate. And I was like, well, what if she doesn't work out? I need to have a backup.
That's horrible.
But I would personally suggest no. I don't think that's a good idea. You know, how would you feel if...
You were the one of the two that you dated.
Yeah, how would that make you feel?
Is there anything you miss about being single? For me, that is a no.
Yeah, I'm trying to think hard here. And I think just about everything is better with you in my life.
Wow. How can we be content in a time of waiting? That's probably the $1 million question. I bet you that got asked a lot. I think one thing is just trusting God, knowing that, like, you know, He has a plan for your life, regardless of what you're doing. He has a plan for you, and you can just find peace in knowing that there's a plan for you.
Yeah, and not only that, you know, we've talked about this in some of our other videos, but I just think it's so important to be able to be content with yourself. You know, if you're always looking for somebody else to complete you and to make you happy, well, guess what? When you get in a relationship, it's probably not going to be what you expected it to be. How to spot a godly man or woman. God says that we will know them by their fruits. So that's a good way to analyze someone. Do they have the fruits of the Spirit? What are the fruits of the Spirit, Sutton?
Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control.
So do they have those fruits? Then maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah, and I do highly suggest that conversation. If you don't know for sure that they're a Christian, that'd be one of the very first things you talk to them about before you even, you know, spend time getting to know them.
Yeah, for sure. Not only that, I think it's so important that you don't just have a surface level conversation about this topic to really, you know, because a lot of people are like, yeah, I'm a Christian. I believe in Jesus. But do they really? Does their life show it? I think that's really important because what I see a lot of the times is like it's kind of an uncomfortable situation or a conversation to have, and then later on down the road, they may not be the kind of Christian that they thought they were. I feel like I've been waiting forever. I'm 17 and haven't had my first kiss. Any advice?
My advice would be to be patient. I would not rush something like that. Or just be focused on that, you know, focus on finding someone that you're going to be really interested in.
Not only that, I think that's awesome. I wouldn't feel this pressure to like have your first kiss. You know, I think it's so cool when people haven't kissed anyone until their spouse or until the one that they spend the rest of their life with. I think that's really cool.
Some people, we film weddings, and some people go all the way till their wedding day without kissing someone, which, how cool is that? Like, your first kiss is on your wedding day.
Wow.
Do you ever wish you met in a different way? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really say that I do because I feel like the way we met was how God intended us to meet, but I think it would be cool to have, like, I always wish that I could have just seen her out in public and, like, what would I have done?
Yeah, me too.
Because I feel 100% confident I would have gone up and talked to her.
And if that would have happened, that would have literally been the first time in my whole life that that's ever happened to me.
That is very surprising.
That's true.
There's some scared men out there.
What do you think about a Christian girl dating a non-Christian guy?
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
Do not go there.
Yeah, God calls us to be equally yoked, and I think that's super, super important in a relationship. Probably should be your number one thing that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I actually have firsthand experience, so I guess I don't know if that would be considered firsthand, but I have family that has married Christian marrying non-Christian, and it's crazy the spiritual warfare that goes on in that kind of relationship.
Should you add in that they're divorced?
They are divorced now.
How to show a guy that you like him? Like, how would you want a girl to show that she likes you?
Yeah, I think it's very important for girls to show that they're interested to some degree in a guy if they are interested, because most of the time guys are so scared already to like talk to a girl and like so insecure thinking like they don't like them. And not all guys, but a lot of guys, especially Christian guys, seem to be this way. So I would say if you are interested in a guy, you know, I mean, you don't have to be over the top about it, but start conversations, initiate conversations, maybe compliment him, laugh at his jokes. Don't be afraid to show him that you're interested.
We're not about those games.
No games around here.
How do you prepare yourself for a relationship in the season of singleness? One thing we talked about in a previous video is becoming the person you want to be with, wants to be with. If that makes sense. It's a confusing sentence. But like, whatever you're looking for in someone, you should be becoming that person too. Like, whoever, I don't even know how to explain what this is. Like, that sentence is it.
You were doing good. Yeah, the kind of person that you are looking for, that you want to spend your life with, try to become that person. So
try to become what they would be looking for.
Yeah.
It's the most confusing sentence, but I get it in my head of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so basically, like, think to yourself, okay, here I am thinking all day, every day, when am I going to find my spouse? When am I going to find my partner? I'm miserable without them. Do you really want the person that you're looking for to be like that? Probably not. You would want them to be the kind of person that they just love life, they love people, they love God. They could be okay with or without a spouse, but they would like to have one. So that's probably the kind of person that you're looking for. So you should become that person. That verse where Jesus says, whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. You know, a lot of the times we think of that from of our financial situation. If we are faithful and good stewards of the things that God gives us, that he can trust us with more. So I think that's a good mindset to have when you're single, is like, okay, what has God given me? God has given me this life that I'm currently in. I'm currently in a season of singleness, so I'm going to make the best out of this season. I'm going to try to live how God wants me to, full of patience and peace and kindness and goodness.
How do I get rid of unrealistic expectations, and how do I know if my standards are too high? I feel like that's an interesting question to me, because I was always told that, like, whenever I was looking for certain things in someone, they would say, like, you're going to have to get over that you're just expecting way too much. That's not out there. But guess what?
You found me.
He's right here.
No. You're trying to say I always live up to your expectations?
Not always. You do now, I feel like. Like, now you kind of know. I think now you kind of, like, know what I expect. But I just always felt like I would expect what I give. Like, going back to being the person you want to be with, wants to be with, I would give these things, and I just wanted them in return. So I knew it was possible because I was doing it.
Yeah, I would say that I think there's expectations that are good to have, and then there's expectations that you might need to hold on to loosely. Like, you know, anything to do with the morals, you know, being faithful in your relationship, whether it has to do with social media, movies you watch, the language that you speak. I think all of those things, it's very good to have high expectations and high standards. But I think other things that might just come along with, like, personality twerks, you know, like whether I smack my food.
Or, like, if they don't look the way, like, you want someone that's 6'3", but they're 5'10", like, it just doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I think there's expectations that are very good to have, and then expectations that you might need to let go of. But what I see far too much of is people having a low standard of the things that they should have a high standard for.
Yeah, people are settling out there.
Yeah, so as far as when it comes to character and someone that lives a godly life, I think that your standards should be high for that.
Yeah, so keep that. Girl that asked this question, let's see your name, Cassidy. You keep those expectations and those standards, and the right guy will come along. It will help you weed out the ones that you're not meant to be with.
And another thing is, I think if you make your standards very well known and that you hold firm in those standards, that it can really inspire people, not only just people in general, but also the person that you're dating. Like I think Sutton did that to me.
What?
Like I feel like you had some standards that I wasn't meeting in the beginning, and it made me realize, like, yeah, I should be meeting those standards.
Yeah, that goes with the dating the two people at the same time thing that we were talking about. That was very early on in us dating. Like, we probably hung out twice. And my mom had been telling me, like, are you sure he's not dating someone else? She just thought he was a little too good to be true. And I was telling her, like, I don't think so. And I was like, let me just ask him. And so I did, and he had to tell me. And I basically said, like, something like, I'm not doing that with you.
Yeah, she basically told me that if I continue to do that, she's not going to continue dating me. And I was like, okay, I'm out.
Out with her, not me.
Yeah, out with her and in with you. And then also, if you've watched our video on pornography, in our early stages of dating, I had a little issue with that. And she made it very known to me that that was not okay. And I knew it wasn't okay, but it coming from her really just straighten me out.
What is wrong about living together before marriage?
That's
Loaded.
a good one. That's
Loaded.
a good one.
Well, first of all, one thing I always think is, like, if you have the desire to get married, don't live with the person that you're wanting to get married to, because that gives them no incentive to propose to you or ask you to marry them, because they're already getting everything they want. They have you.
Hashtag girl talk.
Yeah, so, like, there's, like, no incentive for them to ask you, but if you keep those boundaries, it gives them incentive, and it's so much more exciting of, like, when you get married, you start your lives together, you get to move in together and experience all these new things.
Not to say that you can't have a great marriage, for those of you that did live together beforehand, not saying that you guys are horrible. Yeah, I think this is a tricky area for a lot of Christians, because that desire to live with each other is so strong, in the engagement season of life, and nowhere in the Bible will you probably find the words, thou shalt not live together before marriage or whatever. And I think that's what makes it so challenging, is because if we don't see it in the Bible, we're like, well, who's to say it's wrong? But if you really think about it, this is something that's going to be easier for probably an outsider to give you perspective on than when you're in it yourself, because, you're just so overwhelmed with your desires to be living with each other that you just can't see past it. But it's all about trying to honor God as much as you possibly can with your life. And if you're living together, how much more likely are you to fall into temptation of sexual sin?
Yeah, the Bible doesn't say thou shalt not live together, but it does say to flee from sexual temptation.
Flee!
And if you are living together, you are not fleeing.
Yeah,
you are just putting yourself right in the midst of it.
You're kind of just like bathing in it. You're like taking a sauna in that temptation. Does dressing modestly attract a guy? That's a good question. I actually think it can.
I would think it attracts the right kind of guy. Let's say that.
I think there's a way to dress modestly and classy at the same time. And when you do that, I think it's a great way to stand out, ironically, because you don't see that too often. It seems like a big theme that I'm seeing in these questions is how to be content while you're single. And I think, I just kind of want to say this, that being married or being in a very happy relationship, it's not going to fix all your problems. Not even close. Like, you're going to deal with...
It might add some problems.
Yeah, it might even amplify your issues. So, like, the last thing I want to do is give off the impression that, like...
You have to be with somebody.
Yeah, and, like, we're happier than you because you're not married, Yeah. You can very well be happier or more content, full, more of peace being single than you ever can being married. You can. That's very possible. Because, Paul even talks about how he wishes that more people would stay single like him, because he can be more devoted to God and his relationship with God. But he also says that if they can't control themselves, they should marry, for it is better to marry than to
burn with passion.
Yeah, and when you're burning with passion. I was burning with passion. So I just want to say that, it actually, from what we read, it almost sounds like it's better to be unmarried if you can handle that. If you can, and I think as long as you strive for that while you are single, it's only going to make your marriage better. It's only going to make your marriage better. But On the flip side, if you are constantly holding on to this false hope that when you find the right person, that they're going to solve all your issues, and this void that you feel on the inside, that's a recipe for disaster.
I wish that we were doing this singleness video and coming out with the idea that, like, we have a dating app for you guys.
I know,
like
man.
a Christian dating app.
Should we create a dating app?
We've talked about it. I think that would be so fun.
Oh, the ideas we could do if we had enough time. But anyway, I think that's a wrap, right?
Yeah, I mean, there were so many questions, but hopefully the ones we got to were helpful to you guys.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, that was our Q&A on singleness. Hope you got something out of it. And don't forget, go follow us on Instagram if you haven't already, because we got a little surprise coming for you probably this week, right?
Probably.
Yeah.
Within the next 2 weeks, it will be.
Yeah. So in the meantime, this is Nate and Sutton sowing seeds of truth, love, and inspiration, one view at a time.
And that was a Q&A on singleness.